is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sky Tour Radio. It's me, Mark D'Antonio. At least I think it's me. Amanda, is it me?
I think so.
Okay, okay, good. And Daryl, you're here, right?
I think it's a Chinese monkey man. That's what I think. I'm here. Hi, everybody.
That's really good. Hey, folks, I just want to acquaint you with a new experiment that we're trying tonight. If you are not yet members or subscribers to KGRA-DB on YouTube, I urge you to go there because tonight's show is a radio show, but it's also a visual show. You're going to see what we're talking about on screen as we move forward. So it's going to be kind of fun. And it'll be run kind of like in the flavor of some of our Sky Tour live streams that we've done in the past, but with this extra little layer of visual beauty that I think you'll want to see. So again, it's on KGRA-DB. Go ahead and subscribe and then join that stream and you can actually watch the radio show. Isn't that kind of odd? Watch the radio show? Seems weird. But hey, now, for those that don't know what Sky Tour Livestream is, it's a clear night journey into the wonders of the deep sky, all courtesy of a research-grade telescope here in Connecticut at the John Zach Memorial Observatory. But we are opening a second Sky Tour Livestream observatory out in the Arizona desert. And that observatory the construction is slated to start in February. And we are going to take the telescope that's here now for Sky Tour Livestream West, and we're testing it here in our observatory in Sky Tour Livestream East. That is Connecticut. And I'm testing the new telescope here, so it's all set up on the pier. So the very next time we do Sky Tour Livestream, it's going to be with the new telescope. So I really expect that, and I've tested it over the last couple of days, and it does not disappoint. It is phenomenal.
I can't wait to see it.
You know what? And Daryl, I don't mean to rub it in, but I got this telescope here about, 2 weeks ago? And I already have it up on the pier ready to go. And I believe you have a telescope that you haven't taken out of the box yet, that you've had for months. Am I right?
Go ahead. Hit me in the other cheek. No, I've taken it out of the box. I just haven't put it on its mount yet. I feel bad now. I hope you're happy.
I'm glad. See, you know what? Astronomy doesn't take prisoners, okay? If you have an instrument, it should be looking up in the sky because that's when it's going to be happy.
Oh, yeah.
Not looking up in the sky, it's not happy.
Well, actually, I want to drag that old red 8-inch f8 reflector out, put it back together, and it's just so much fun to use, and it's easy, and there's no computer, there's no drive, there's nothing but me and the telescope, and that's the way it should be. Well, unfortunately, it's going to be in single digits here, so I can't do it for a couple of days.
Yeah, I don't think I would be very happy with that myself. I'm just not a single digit kind of guy, you know. Which I think is why Arizona, and I want to say hello to all my Arizona friends out there, as well as my friends in the KGRA listening audience. You guys are wonderful. I received tremendous encouragement to bring this observatory out west. And at first, I didn't think we were going to be able to do a second whole observatory. But thanks to some amazing donations, we are now able to make Sky Tour Livestream an East and West Coast phenomenon. So this is going to be fantastic. Now, just so you know, the listening audience, if you want to store this in your memory banks, we're putting a whole second pier setup in the Western Observatory. This means that anyone with a research project that they'd like to do in Sky Tour Livestream West, I can make that pier available for you. So let's talk. If you have an idea, and we can make it all happen. Maybe an 8-inch from Colorado, huh, Daryl?
I'm sorry, I'm sitting over here in bad astronomer corner. What did you say?
Yeah, how about this 8-inch telescope that you got, right? That's an 8, isn't it? Or is it an
Oh,
11?
the new one, it's a 9.25.
Oh, 9.25. Okay.
It's a Celestron 925. Classic black tube F10.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sitting here feeling real guilty now. I hope you're happy.
Hey, like I said, astronomy doesn't know and it doesn't take prisoners. You know, if you got a telescope, it should be outside looking up, except in the rain, of course. And
You're right. You're absolutely right.
it's fine.
I'm going to go back to bad astronomer corner now, okay?
Oh, you're all right. That's cool. You know, guys, I have to tell you, tonight I don't think that we're going to do the call-in line at the end of the show. We have a whole bunch of things going at once, and maybe as we prove the technology that we're working with, then we'll start opening up the phone lines again. But for now, we're going to just hang on and talk about a whole bunch of other things. Now, Exoplanet Roundup will be back next week, but what's going to take its place is a discussion that you've probably seen in the news lately, and it's a discussion about the big red star in the upper left corner of Orion, in Orion's shoulder, and it's called Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is a red supergiant star, and it's actually a young star, meaning that it's so big that it used up all of its hydrogen fuel, you know, and that hydrogen fuel that powered this beautiful red star, all right, was something that was expended very quickly. And so the star ended up bloating into this gigantic red giant. That's what happens when stars use up their hydrogen. And even though Betelgeuse is only just over 8.5 million years old, we're looking at a potential supernova. Now, the details about when that supernova can occur are just not something that we know. For all the astronomy we think we know, we don't have a way to calculate when a star is going to actually blow its lid like that. We just don't. So what we're talking about here is trying to figure out when it's going to happen. One of the problems is Betelgeuse is a distance away from us that is very, very hard to detect. It used to be thought to be about 450 light years away, then 490 light years away. Well, now it's in the high 600s, approximately close to 700 light years away. Now, that means the light we're seeing from it is, well, we'll pick 700, is 700 years old. So, we saw recently, in the last few months, Betelgeuse began to dim. Now, it dimmed 2.5 times its brightness. And, you know, if a star dims routinely, we call those variable stars. And Betelgeuse actually is what's called a semi-regular variable. It does brighten and it dims over time. And the star recently has shown an inordinate and never before seen amount of dimming. This is something new. And this is what sparked all the articles that said, hey, maybe Betelgeuse is about to go supernova. Now, that could be. It's also possible that Betelgeuse is going through a different longer-term cycle that we may not have recognized yet. I'm betting it's a supernova. You know, I really, really want to see a supernova at some point, especially a star this close to us. And you're probably wondering, is that dangerous for us? And we'll get to that. Okay. All right. But what I want to say, though, is this dimming of Betelgeuse, being as much as it is, has really caught the attention of the astronomy world. And astrophysicists are trying to figure out the mechanism by which it might be dimming. And typically, when a star dims like this, it means it's pulsating, and especially the red giants. As they get larger, their overall intrinsic brightness will actually increase because the radius gets larger. And the radius is a big factor in what we call the luminosity, or this intrinsic brightness. But as they use up their hydrogen and they begin to shrink, well, then the stars get dimmer. All right, and they get hotter as they shrink. So Betelgeuse is in that mode. We don't know which mode, but we know it's in a mode where it's actually shrinking more than it ever has been documented to dim. So it means something special. And normally, Betelgeuse is one of the top 10 brightest stars in the sky. Now it's the 23rd brightest star in the sky. That's never happened before. And even with its normal semi-regular variability, it never was number 23 in the night sky. This is new. It's amazing. So keep your eyes on that red star in Orion, the upper left star. You can't miss it. So the question is, what's happening to it? And there's a number of things that it could be. And before I go into those, I just want to offer up to Daryl or Amanda. Did you want to say anything or ask anything about Betelgeuse before I mention that?
Oh, I have tons to say about it. Betelgeuse has been the bright red right shoulder of Orion the Hunter up in the sky for all of recorded history and long before that, okay?
Yep.
And it's going to break my heart in a way if I see Orion go away. Now, it'll go away spectacularly, and in place of that big red supergiant star, there's going to be a nebula that's going to unfold now for hundreds and thousands of years.
That's right.
And that's going to be super cool to watch in itself. It's like seeing the Crab Nebula happen all over again, but from much closer up. It'll be absolutely spectacular to see. But I was talking to Amanda about this. It's just going to be so final,
Well, yeah.
Orion is going to change forever.
Well, it's going to anyway because, we have Betelgeuse in the top left corner. Then to its right, we have Bellatrix. Down at the bottom, we have Rigel, the bright, hot blue star. And then below that, we have a star lesser known called Saiph, and it's down there. And then we have a belt of 3 stars. All right, we have Alnitak on the far left. We have Alnilam in the middle of the belt, and then we have Mintaka at the right end. And these 3 belt stars are the ones that are most recognizable in Orion, besides Betelgeuse and what's below the belt down here in the bottom of Orion, where you actually see the Orion Nebula. This is a fuzzy spot that you can actually see with your binoculars. It's right underneath the 3 belt stars. And you'll see it as a kid. I saw it, and I saw the fuzziness there, and I wondered what that was. When I used my binoculars, I was like, wow, there's something glowing there, some gas. And then I looked it up and figured out it was Orion Nebula, which is Messier 42, cataloged by Charles Messier. And so when we talk about the stars of Orion, they are a fixture in our culture. However, one thing to understand, and I think you do, Daryl, maybe the rest of the audience may or may not, is the 3 belt stars in Orion. When Lucy, that is to say Australopithecus afarensis, the early hominid precursor to Homo sapiens sapiens, to what we are, 4 million years ago, was wandering around on the land. Had Lucy looked up at what we call Orion, she wouldn't have seen these 3 belt stars. There would only be 1 star. Because Mintaka is only 3 million years old, all right? And Alnitak is only just about 4. So Lucy, being 4.2 million years ago, she would have had 1 star in Orion to make the belt, and that would have been the middle belt star called Alnilam, and that's it. Now, because Betelgeuse has evolved so quickly, that upper left star in Orion there, because Betelgeuse has evolved that quick, we don't know what it might have looked like back then. Maybe it was a little hotter, maybe it's smaller, maybe less bright. We don't know. But you got to keep in mind that was half its age ago. Okay? It's only 8.5 million years old, and Lucy was wandering around 4.2 million years ago. So you got to say, well, maybe Betelgeuse was the original star. Maybe it was what it was before. Maybe it was a blue star, or a star that had a different composition, or I should say different brightness and different characteristics. It's almost guaranteed that it did. So Lucy has the biggest argument as to what changed in Orion, okay, because Lucy saw Orion before it was actually Orion. See what I mean, Darryl?
Yeah. Oh, yes. All I can say is if it happens in our lifetime, I hope and I expect, really, that it's going to make Orion more spectacular than it's ever been in all of recorded history. I mean, yeah, it's going to be sad that Betelgeuse is going to go away, but it's going to leave something truly spectacular in its place. And we're going to see it unfold for hundreds or thousands of years. That supernova remnant, and it's going to be, hopefully it'll be spectacular. And I've wondered if maybe we might wind up, if the appearance of Orion, the constellation, changes so much after Betelgeuse blows up, that maybe we'll call it something else in the future.
Maybe we will.
It's been the hunter for thousands of years. Who knows what it might turn into in the sky?
I agree. Now, here's the thing. What if this star, Betelgeuse, which, different applications and different programs give the distance differently, okay? But the latest information on Betelgeuse is that it's around 700 light years away. Like I said, it's gone from 450 to 400 to 600 to 700. And finally now it sits at 700 as roughly within, say, 20 light years or so each side.
I saw it called 720 light years this morning.
Okay, well, see, it's not our fault for not knowing that. It's really taking a long time to figure this out. But here's the thing to understand about Betelgeuse. That 700 light years away means that we're seeing it as it was 700 years ago. And when we look at Betelgeuse now, you have to imagine a long stream of light photons that are coming from Betelgeuse. And the ones that are emitted right this second from Betelgeuse won't get here for 700 years. All right? And so the ones that are hitting our planet now are showing this rapid dimming of Betelgeuse. So if there is a supernova event, and if it already has gone supernova, we aren't going to see it for, if it went right now, we wouldn't see it for 700 years. And this would be a conversation for our descendants hundreds of years from now. But the fact of the matter is, at 700 light years away, this particular star in Orion might not even be there now. And so there might just be this supernova remnant already there. If we could just take an instant transport and go to Betelgeuse, I'd be curious to see if it was still there. It might not be.
I would agree. If you look at really deep, long exposures of the constellation Orion, you will see a riot of things happening up in that part of the sky.
Oh, yeah.
This would not by any means be the first supernova to ever happen in Orion. No. If you see really deep exposures, you see a great big red semicircle sort of hugging the lower east side of the constellation. That's called Barnard's Loop.
Right. Barnard's was right down the left side, up right up along the left. You can't see it unless you do a long, deep sky photo,
Yep, but it's there, and that is where something blew up in the past, and I bet it blew up spectacularly also.
That's right, and it might have been one of the stars that used to be in Orion that we no longer have in Orion, and so we see it after the fact. So Orion for us is always Betelgeuse at the top, Bellatrix to the right, Rigel at the bottom right, Saiph to the lower left, and then the belt of three, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Those three stars. That could be our Orion. But maybe there was Alnilam, Alnitak, Mintaka, and Fred. Some fourth belt star, say, that we didn't know about. That could also have been. We don't know.
Sure.
Suffice it to say that every star we see in Orion, every one of the stars we see in Orion, most, if not, I think all of them actually are going to be going supernova. They're all giants. And Orion is bright to us. The constellation is bright to us, and there's a reason for that. We are close to Orion because of our location in the galaxy. We're in what was called and has been called the Orion Spur. It's a little segment of our galactic spiral arm where Orion and the Great Orion Molecular Cloud, it's called the OOMC, the Orion Molecular Cloud Complex, the OMCC, sorry. That is what is making up most of Orion that we see in the sky. So that's something that I think is fascinating, because we have to consider that when we look at Orion, it's going to evolve. It's going to change, And the universe has a way I should say, the universe has a way of actually surprising us. One of the surprises was this rapid dimming of Betelgeuse. Other surprises are when we see supernovae in galaxies. Okay, millions of light years away, tens of millions of light years away, we can see supernovae. In SkyTour live stream here in the East, we actually looked at a supernova in a galaxy. Do you remember that, Daryl?
1987A in the Large Magellanic Cloud?
No, we saw a supernova in another galaxy.
Oh, it was M77 here, in the last year.
Right, and M77, for those that don't know, refers to Messier 77. It's a catalog name for some very interesting and profound objects that Charles Messier in the late 1600s and 1700s put together as a catalog of objects to avoid in your hunt for comets. He was a comet hunter. And it turns out that the most interesting catalog that, to us, was one of the most mundane catalogs to Charles Messier, because he just wanted you to avoid it. That's just an astronomical thing. Don't worry about it. Let's keep looking for comets.
Yeah.
And it turns out those Messier objects are the most profound set of objects. If you're getting into astronomy, look up the Messier catalog, Messier, Messier catalog. And you will find just over 100 objects that are absolutely stunning. And it's really cool to see those. I think you should check them out, Now, I want to say something about Betelgeuse one more time here. When we look at Betelgeuse now, and we know it's about 2.5 times fainter than it has been, keep in mind that if it goes supernova in our lifetimes, and some estimates say 200,000 years. Okay, well, that's a short amount of time for an 8.5 million-year-old star. What might happen to it? What might we see? Well, first of all, for a few months, Betelgeuse will be the brightest star in the entire sky. In fact, it will even be visible during the daytime. If the sun's out, you'll see Betelgeuse in the sky as well. So that's how bright it can be. An awful lot of energy being expelled in a supernova event. It is one of the most cataclysmic events that can occur in the universe. And I just think it's amazing. So, so that said, we would have it in the sky very bright for a few months. And then, of course, it would go and dim. And then it would actually dim out of brightness. And now the upper left shoulder of Orion would no longer have anything to support it, right? Betelgeuse would be gone.
Hopefully there's going to be a big, beautiful supernova remnant nebula there instead.
Well, there will be. And initially it'll be pretty bright, but that's going to dim out pretty quickly too. And we'll end up having a very low brightness object to look for, kind of like the Veil supernova remnant in the constellation of Cygnus. We've seen that too in SkyTour livestream. And the first time I saw it, I kind of embarrassed Amanda, I think, because she was with me on that stream. She's a fixture on SkyTour livestream with us. And Amanda was, I think, taken a little aback by my reaction to having seen this supernova remnant for the first time ever in my life. And I saw it right here at SkyTour livestream East. I was like, wow.
Not to blow my own horn, but wasn't that with my filter?
I wish it was, but no, it was actually with another filter. The Veil, for the folks that don't understand, Daryl has sent me a filter to look at objects with, just to try out in the telescope. It was really good. It was called an oxygen-3 filter. It looks at doubly ionized oxygen, which is a main component of supernova remnants and planetary nebulae, things that we have seen and that we talk about often. But I will say this. The nebula performs great as long as you're using it in conjunction with several other filters, and then you combine the light from all of them to make one picture. On its own, it's only looking at that component that's this doubly ionized oxygen. And unfortunately, it wasn't enough, especially not for Sky Tour live stream when people want to see stuff, you know. It didn't allow us to see things too much, but I recognized a huge difference. I recognized a major difference in it. But that all said, that's our talk for Betelgeuse right now. When you come back, we're going to do some discussion about astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology. And we're going to talk about the differences between them. And that'll be a little bit fun, too. So we'll be right back on Sky Tour Radio with me, Mark, and Daryl, and Amanda, and whoever else is lurking out there that we don't know about, listening in on our conversations on KGRA-DB. And if you haven't joined KGRA-DB, it's a YouTube channel. Go check it out, because you can see visuals to go along with everything we're talking about tonight. All right? It's like watching TV is what it is. So check it out, will you? So it's KGRA-DB on YouTube. And we'll be right back after these words. Stay tuned.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with, you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Sky 2 Radio. This is Mark D'Antonio with Daryl and Amanda. We are your astronomy team extraordinaire, I hope. I hope that's what you think of us, because we are enjoying our time with you, and we love talking about the universe. I'm an astronomer, as you guys know, and we're just weird that way. What can I say? Love the night sky. Now, I am encouraging you once again, if you haven't, please get out to KGRA DB, as in Delta Bravo DB, on YouTube. Join that channel, subscribe, and watch tonight's radio show, and watch it like TV. It'll be a visual. Everything we're talking about, we're showing you live, and you're seeing it dynamically. It's not just playing as a loop. It's actually live stuff. So enjoy that. Come on out and check us out, will you? All right, KGRA DB on YouTube. Anyway. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the clarifications needed, because I know that some of you out there are thinking and have thought, and I've heard questions too, what is astronomy versus astrophysics? What is cosmology versus astronomy? What's the difference between them? Aren't they just all astronomy stuff? And the answer is, well, yes. Okay, there, next topic. No, I'm just kidding. Not quite that. It's regarding astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology. You know, you say, well, what is astronomy? And I can say the words. It's a study and identification of the wonders of the universe. What they are and a little bit about how they work. What is astrophysics? It's the detailed study of how these pieces all fit together in their intricacies. Okay, and cosmology is the study of how the universe actually exists, and the nature of that tapestry that is the universe. Now, to that end, I've got a really, really neat way for you to remember all this. And I was talking to Ket Thorvaldsen today. She is my speaking tour partner for the New Sciences Tour. And Ket and I were talking about a way to get the point across about the differences between astrophysics, cosmology, and astronomy. And what I came up with was the following. To see the difference, it's really simple. All you have to do is imagine a beautiful, large painting on a colossal scale. Now, how is a painting made? The paint is put onto a canvas, all right? And the paint has different colors, which produce an image to the eye when you look at it, okay? So if you think of the universe as this grand painting on a colossal scale, the canvas for the painting is cosmology. How is it built? The fabric. How is that fabric made? Perhaps the units that make up the universe are smaller than we think, and that's something Ket Thorvaldsen will be able to talk about with her cosmological approach, which I think is really quite prescient and important. Okay, and we'll be talking about that in another radio show. And the paint is astronomy. The paint is laid down on the canvas. It can be laid down in an infinite number of ways. So in a sense, astronomy is what the picture looks like. Okay. Now, what is the texture of the paint? Is it liquid or is it thick? Okay. That's astronomy, the paint. Okay. The canvas is cosmology. Okay. But the color of the paint is astrophysics. The color is a characteristic of this paint, a detail about the paint. How is it made up chemically? What's the chemical makeup of the paint? How does the paint operate on the canvas? Does it spread easily? Does it glob up? What is the characteristics of this color on the canvas? Okay, and the question it comes down to is what makes the color appear, all right, as it does to the eye, all right, and that is astrophysics. How does the color appear to the eye, all right, and what makes the color work as it does? What type of light does it actually beam back, and what type does it absorb to make sure that the color is a certain color? Because that's how colors work in the real world. So this metaphor, cosmology is the canvas, astronomy is the paint, and then the color of the paint is the astrophysics. right? This is something you can remember to help you with the separation between the three, and that you know, whether you're an artist or not, that all three overlap. The quality of what ends up on the final product depends on how fine the canvas is. The quality of the painting and how it appears to the eye depends on the colors that you use. And then the paint's fluidity and or thickness determines that texture that makes the painting what it is. And so that is a metaphor that you guys can use, all right? Canvas, paint, and color for cosmology, astronomy, and astrophysics. You know, does that make sense now to you, Daryl? Do you see how that works?
I was an art major first time in college, Mark. Sure, why not?
Okay, well, so anyway,
I mean, I could draw an analogy to beans and hot dogs or whatever, but yeah, you know, the artist. Don't forget the artist, the canvas and the paint and the color and all that. That's a nice analogy.
Yeah, and as far as the artist goes, I'm not qualified to talk about who the artist may be or what the artist may be.
Frankly, neither am I, but it sure is pretty, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is. And the universe has a lot of spectacularity, I like to say. Spectacularity. Okay? Sort of like when something ridiculous happens, to me it's ridiculosity. I always make up words. But, you know, now Amanda's been sitting there quietly in the background because she doesn't feel probably like there's much she can say here when I'm talking about these types of things. But she's very important to this discussion because she's about to tell you something that you've heard before. Do you know what that is, Amanda? I don't think you do because I have no
idea.
Yeah,
the
I know.
spectrum?
Getting close.
It's the one thing I'm good at. It's the one thing I've remembered.
Yeah, and before we continue where we're going to go, when we talk about the different stars here, especially the stars in Orion, because we're going to spend some time in Orion tonight, I do want to mention that we want to talk about the way we classify the stars. And Amanda can tell you, and the reason I have Amanda do it is because she knew nothing about astronomy in the beginning. And she rattles this off like nothing now. And she knows all the differences. And I just like to let her shine a little bit because I think that it just does my heart good to hear her say these things. You know, because I realize I'm not doing this for nothing. There are people that really like it, you know, and Amanda's one of them. So when we talk about the way we classify stars, Amanda, tell everybody the different spectral classes that we have.
Well, they go from hottest and biggest and bluest to cool and small and red.
Yeah.
And the letters that you can remember it by, there's a little mnemonic. It's O be a fine guy, kiss me, for the letters OBAFGKM.
Exactly so. And what's funny is I learned it that way too when I first heard about it. I actually heard that way back in high school originally. And when I got to university and for the degree, we never actually said, "Oh, be a fine girl, kiss me," or anything like that. It was sort of it wasn't acceptable to say that, so we just said OBAFGKM, right? And in addition, there's several other classes that were after the M, including R, N, and S, and those were remembered by right now smack. Like, you know, you're ordering someone to kiss you right now smack, you know, and the smack is the kiss or whatever. But R and S is no longer being used in general.
Or you're slapping their face.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought it was.
You did mention that one time, I remember.
Yes, I do.
But we don't talk about R and S anymore.
Why?
Well, because our RNS has migrated to different understandings. As we've understood the stars better, the RNS spectral classes went to other things. Wolf-Rayet stars, white dwarfs. We have, you know, now, you know, we used to say that white dwarfs, you know, they're classified by a letter D for dwarf. Yet we know that when it's a D, we know it's a white dwarf. When it's an F an F0 in the spectral classes, and then a numeral 5, Roman numeral 5, that's also called a dwarf. What do I mean by all that? Well, we have these classes like we talked about, the O, B, A, F, G, K, M that Amanda told you about. But we're not done. And each of those has a number within. So we can have an O0, an O8 or an O9 or O3. Okay. We can have an F0 through 9 and G0 through 9, etc., all the way down the list. Okay. And it really relates, as you heard, the temperature of the star to the color. So red is cooler, blue is hotter, like she said. And the stars at the left end of that, the O stars, those are guys that are really short-lived because they're so big and so powerful. They burn through their hydrogen. They run through that nuclear fusion so fast that they become giants in no time and end up becoming supernovae, to a letter, every one of them. So, but the question is, what are what when they become giants? What does that mean? What are giants? What are subgiants? What are white dwarfs? What are supergiants? What are just ordinary giants? I mean, there's a specification that we use along with the letter, like OBA, OBA, FGKM, and a number. So like our star is a G2, G number 2, okay? But then there's a letter after that, a Roman numeral, which specifies what's called the luminosity class. Luminosity class has to do with the intrinsic brightness of the star. For stars like the sun, these stars they're bright, but they're not the brightest they can be. They're big, but they're not the biggest they can be. Our sun is one of these. Believe it or not, they're called dwarfs. And they go with the Roman numeral 5, which is the V. So our star, its full spectral type, is the spectral class G2 with the luminosity class 5, V. And the full spectral type is G25. Okay, so G2V. And that is a star that is like that is fusing hydrogen into helium in its core. And that's most of the stars out there. Most of the stars are doing that. Okay? And now, along with these Roman numeral 5s, we have stars that have a Roman numeral 4. Okay? So and you can have a G24. What's that? Well, the Roman numeral 4, as you go up closer to Roman numeral 1, as that Roman numeral gets smaller, the stars get bigger. So the Roman numeral 5, stars like the sun. Roman numeral 4, subgiants. Those are stars that are bigger than the sun, and they're not fusing hydrogen to helium any longer. They've used it up, and they're on their way to gianthood. Okay? And why they swell up when they run out of hydrogen is another show, but keep in mind that it's part of the normal evolution of stars that when they run out of hydrogen, inevitably they end up swelling into more giant stars. So we see these subgiants, the Roman numeral 4 stars. Then we have Roman numeral 3s, which are normal giants. These are bigger than the subgiants. And then even bigger than that, and again, another layer into the evolutionary matrix here of these stars, we have the bright giants, which is Roman numeral 2. So you could have a G2 Roman numeral 2, and it'd be a star that from the outside is a star like the sun, but it's a giant star. So in other words, if you put it where our sun is, it might start getting out toward the planet Mercury, maybe a little less. So you see, we would never survive in that arena. But why do we call them luminosity classes here at all? We call them luminosity classes because the bigger the star's radius gets, the brighter the star is going to be. And so we came up with this classification scheme. So lower than the Roman numeral 2, we have the 1s, the Roman numeral 1s. And those are broken into 3 separate pieces. We have the Roman numeral 1b, so 1b. We have 1ab, and we have 1a. So 1b, these stars are supergiants. Okay, all the ones are supergiants. All these Roman numeral ones are supergiants. Okay, Deneb in Cygnus is one such star. It's a supergiant. I believe a 1a. Daryl, if you know, you can correct me. And then the 1ABs are these intermediate size luminous supergiants. So that's a Roman numeral 1 and then the little letters A and B next to each other. So 1AB. And then the luminous supergiants are the 1As. These are by far the biggest stars in the universe. And they are, well, not quite the biggest. There's one level higher, and those are confusingly called hypergiants. They are very, very luminous supergiants. And sometimes they'll be called 1As, just like the luminous supergiants. So the bottom line is there's a luminosity class that goes along with all this. And I think that it's kind of important to talk about this luminosity class because where we're going tonight, and I know that we're all the way partially through that, we're almost halfway done with the show, but the bottom line is we have a lot to talk about. And I will show you some things for those who are on KGRA DB. Go on out there. You don't have to, if you don't want to subscribe, you don't have to. Just go to the YouTube channel and watch. And you'll see all this stuff happen right before your eyes. So, but we're going to talk about, the stars of Orion. And we're going to go there first. And we're going to do a few things with each of the stars in Orion that I think are going to be kind of cool. All right. So let's go to Betelgeuse once again. All right. Now, Betelgeuse is a big, bright red star that we talked about already. We've said it was about 700 light years distance. But, these are difficult to gauge with a star in this particular red giant state. And that is to say, in this particular state of evolution, it is a very, very bright star. And if you were there, it would look pretty bright to you because it's so big in radius. All right. And when you look at it in the night sky, as Daryl has said, it's sort of a fixture. Orion needs that big, beautiful orange star in the upper left. But sadly, that's coming to an end because the universe is never sitting still. But Betelgeuse has converted all of its hydrogen to helium, and it happened very quickly. It's only 8.5 million years old. That's definitely, it's already running through its life very quickly. They always say the brightest candles, have the shortest lives, right? Well, Betelgeuse is one of those. And at the distance that Betelgeuse is, you say, well, 700 light years. Okay, that it really can't hurt us. And that's true for the most part. It can't. But wait. I said the most part. What does that mean? Well, Betelgeuse is going to have some high intensity light in that light train that's heading toward us once it goes supernova. And that high intensity light could interact with some of the ozone in our atmosphere and could cause some problems, but it won't be anything that's disastrous to the Earth. It will never, ever cause any kind of an extinction level event. So nothing like that to worry about. But we really are talking about an amazing star in Betelgeuse, So when we think about the size of Betelgeuse, okay, we can actually figure out that Betelgeuse is one of the few stars that we can actually see the disk of when we look at it in the night sky. Not with an ordinary telescope like we have. No. We actually have to use a special telescope called an interferometer, and this can show us Betelgeuse. And what we see when we look at Betelgeuse is something incredible. We see that all around Betelgeuse there is this gas, this glowing gas all around Betelgeuse. What is that? Well, Betelgeuse, like all giant stars like this, is losing mass. Now, why would it lose mass? Well, there's still a nuclear fire going on inside. And this nuclear fire inside Betelgeuse is something that's causing the outer layers to get pushed off the star. Now, Betelgeuse is so big that the surface gravity way out here, the gravity that's holding the gas down to the star, is less than the Earth's gravity. In fact, it's less by a factor of 1,000. And so the gas on the outside just has to have a mild little push, and it can be freed from the star. And that's what we see with Betelgeuse. It's actually freeing. The gas is becoming free. And these red giants like this undergo mass loss all the time. And that's what we see with Betelgeuse. You know, like I said, very massive, bright orange supergiant. You know, now one thing I like to talk about with Betelgeuse and with other stars is the habitable zone. And I like to say it this way: if that star was in our solar system, what might happen if we were to examine the solar system from a distance and put that star where our sun was? What could happen? What might our solar system look like? Could we have a habitable zone? In fact, and I don't. Well, we should actually find out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about what would happen if we put Betelgeuse right where the sun is. All right. So Betelgeuse, you want to know how big Betelgeuse is. We have to think about the size of this star. It is massive. We've said this before. But when we talk about how massive, well, that is something you just have to experience. You can hear the words, and I'll give you the words. When we look at Betelgeuse, all right, and we consider how far Betelgeuse is, if we put it where the sun is, how far out it would go, we would find that Betelgeuse goes out almost to Jupiter's orbit. That is incredible. Betelgeuse is so big that if we made a model out of the sun, we made the sun the size of a little tiny BB, Betelgeuse would be the size of a Toyota Camry automobile. So compare a BB to a full-length Toyota Camry, about 17 feet long, versus a tiny little BB. And you can get an idea of how much bigger Betelgeuse is. And, you know, when you look, you would see that Mercury, of course, long since gone. Mercury might actually be inside the core of the star. If we were to go into the star, we would see Mercury way down near the core of the star. Venus might be in the outer core. Earth would be just outside that. And Mars would be near the perimeter, near the outer atmosphere of Betelgeuse. So we would not end up having a very good time if we went to Betelgeuse, you know. It would be kind of all over but the shouting for us, I think. So that said, I don't know if, Amanda, you have any questions, if there's any questions that have come in or not, but I'm happy to answer them while we're talking about Betelgeuse.
No questions. I'm just, I don't know. Like Daryl said, we were talking about this the other day, and it'll be weird to see, you know, when Betelgeuse goes nova.
Yeah. Well,
what that's gonna look like, and I guess it'll last for, we don't know. It'll dissipate too. We were talking about that, about things dissipating, like the Orion Nebula over time, and what that would look like, being a stellar nursery, and
yeah, that's true. You know, stellar nurseries, as they age, you know, the stars that are born in them are going to have radiation which pushes out. And
is that what's going to happen to Betelgeuse when it's supernova? No, it's not.
Yeah. No,
actually, stellar nursery.
Well, okay, good point. You know what? I thought you were going to say something else. Betelgeuse is big, as I said. Okay, if we consider how massive it is, and I'll get to your question in a second, or that comment. That's a very, very good point you made. Betelgeuse is 11.6 times the mass of our sun. And its radius, in terms of the sun's radius, if we look at that, is 887 times the radius of our sun. Some estimates say 1,000. That's huge, all right? And the surface temperature, however, is only 3,550 Kelvin. Now, that's only around 5,900 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, and if you want to know that in Celsius, I mean, that's actually 3,277 Celsius. So Betelgeuse is not very hot. Now you say, well, wow, how could that go supernova then? Because you're looking at a surface that's 4 astronomical units away from the center of the star. So the surface is cooler and redder, right? And that's why we see that. So that said, when we say it has a 3,500 Kelvin surface, well, that's pretty good considering that it's 1 million suns in brightness. It's 1 million times the luminosity of our sun, right? And it's only 8.5 million years old. So you can see now that Betelgeuse is really quite an impressive star considering what's going on, what's happened there and what will happen. I really can't wait to see what happens in the next few years. I'm looking so forward to a giant nuclear explosion in Orion. I mean, am I bad or what?
You're bad.
Well, I'm bad, but you're a bad astronomer because you haven't put your scope on the mount. So there, I feel better.
Yeah, go ahead, rub it in.
No, I won't.
I have to wonder, the nature of a star like Betelgeuse, the star will never be around long enough probably for any sort of life to ever develop anyway. But
yes,
the so-called Goldilocks zone, how far out would you have to get from Betelgeuse, even as it is now, if its orbit is if its diameter is nearly that of the orbit of Jupiter?
Yes.
For a Goldilocks zone, I assume you're talking out like Neptune or Pluto or even farther.
Actually, yeah. And you know what? We're going to have to take a break here, Daryl, but I will tell you this. There is no Goldilocks zone for Betelgeuse. And there is, okay? And to give you an idea where it is, you're talking about a Goldilocks zone with Betelgeuse that's out in the Kuiper Belt.
Okay.
All right.
Not surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, it's out in the Kuiper Belt. Habitable zones are shown by green rings sometimes around the stars, and that's what we'll do. But you know what? We'll talk about this and more when we come back here, okay? And we have a lot more to explore, so stay with us here on SkyTour Radio, on KGRA DB, and KGRAradio.com with Daryl and Amanda. We'll be right back.
Intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. I help people solve difficult and trying personal problems every day on my TV show, but there's one problem that's just got me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. That's 1 in 5 kids who may not know where their next meal is coming from, despite the fact that there's more than enough healthy, nutritious food out there to feed them all. Now, I don't know about you, but that is unacceptable to me. Luckily, the Feeding America network of good people is out there collecting surplus food and giving hope to hungry children and their families at local food banks all across the country. But let's face it, they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
The new KGRA YouTube channel is now live. Subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to stay up to date on the latest major announcements, alerts on trading topics, exclusive live streams, live video cast, and that's just the beginning. Be the first to know what's coming from the KGRA TV channel in real time. So keep it locked in to your contact for alternative talk radio on the internet. Your KGRAradio.com.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Redfern and you're listening to Sky Tour Radio with Mark D'Antonio on the KGRA network, and so are the Men in Black.
Mainstream media's most wanted. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Sky Tour Radio. This is Mark. I'm sort of a little devil behind the scenes. You know, I plague Bill, our producer, with commentary all the time. He's probably one of the best producers that anyone could ever have on a radio show, and I have to give him a nod of approval. And we do it because we love you, Bill. That's the only reason that we make the jokes that we do. And he ordered me to say that or I'd be fired. Anyway, I'm kidding.
Bill, I'm not gay, but if I was a girl, man, look out.
Okay, I'm just going to let that go.
You're all right, Bill. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he's all right. He's definitely all right. Yeah, and he's also a very generous guy. You know, when we go to Pine Bush each year, sadly, I don't think we're going to be doing anything for Pine Bush this coming year, but when we go to Pine Bush, he opens up his house. He does all his cooking. The man is a steamroller of culinary delights. The guy will I'll give you an example. My first time I went to Pine Bush, it's a little aside, I know. The first time I went to Pine Bush, which is New York, it was a little tiny one-day conference. He made me some chicken parmesan. Now, I know he's laughing right now because I know that the chicken parmesan that I get is nothing like the chicken parmesan that he put in front of me. I thought he was putting down a serving bowl for the entire table. But no, that was just my serving of chicken parmesan. If you can imagine a 1.5 foot diameter bed of noodles, spaghetti about 5 inches thick, and on top of that, a 1 foot long slab of chicken. Really? Holy cow. It's like, did he really think I could eat all that? I probably ate a third of the chicken and had some of the spaghetti. Probably about as much as I could stand, and I would ask him to come on right now, but, he's laughing too hard. I know he is. He can. See, he's doing it again. I can hear him in the ethers laughing himself out of this. So anyway, that said, he's a real generous guy, and if ever you get the chance to meet him, you make sure that you do something nice for him because he deserves it. All right.
I can't wait until I get to see Psycho Tycho at his first Pine Bush.
And Tycho happens to be Bill's dog. He had one of these little tiny dogs made. I don't know where they make them, but it's a little tiny dog. Okay, it fits in your palm of your hand or in your shirt pocket or something. It's really small. And I think I'm lying about that, but it's really a small dog. Anyway, it's a cool dog, and he named it Tycho. I think he got the idea from me because I had greyhounds that I rescued from the racetrack because I can't stand how they treat these dogs. And I took 2 greyhounds, and I named them Tycho and Kepler, astronomical contemporaries with each other. And Tycho and Kepler were very good with each other, and I told him I named my dog Tycho, and he named his dog Tycho. I thought that was pretty cool. So that said, we were talking.
Tycho had a silver nose too. He lost it in a sword fight.
In real life, that's correct. He did. That's right. He had an artificial nose made of silver. Gosh, I can't imagine the day he lost his nose. Anyway, here we are with Betelgeuse. In our solar system we're talking about right now. And the habitable zone of Betelgeuse would lie out way, way, way out into the Kuiper belt, almost to the Oort belt and beyond. And if you remember our architecture of our solar system, the Kuiper belt is that belt out beyond Neptune and Pluto of icy objects. It's a disk. Well, guess what? That disk would be too hot for life like we know it. All right? Here in our solar system with Betelgeuse. Because of the luminosity. Betelgeuse is so immensely huge. So we would have a habitable zone that is way, way out beyond any known objects that we have actually cataloged in our own solar system. So that's Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is really something else, you know. Now, if we talk about the next star in Orion, let's talk about a star called Bellatrix. Now, Bellatrix, you know about Bellatrix, right, Daryl? He's muting and doesn't realize it.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was on mute. I'm laughing too much. Yeah, Bellatrix is Orion's left shoulder. We see it on the right because he's facing us.
Yeah.
And Bellatrix, I'm sure, is an interesting star, but, you know, it's sort of dim compared to Betelgeuse. It's not as popular. Not many people know its name like they do Betelgeuse.
Yeah, that's right. But Bellatrix is about 250 light years away from us. And Bellatrix is also a very, very bright blue giant. But it's actually a very interesting hot blue star. You know, if we were to approach it, we would say, wow, you know, this star, it looks like it's a pretty hot star. And we would ask ourselves if there was any way that we could get any kind of habitable existence around Bellatrix. Now, Bellatrix is a star that is, like I said, it's a hot blue star. It's a B2-3. Remember the luminosity class? B2. So it's not a B0, a B1, but a B2. So it's a very hot blue star. And it's luminosity class 3. Do you remember what the 3 was? For those of you that just went through it earlier, it means normal giants. So it's a giant star. And if we were to put that star into our solar system, I wonder what that would do. Can you imagine? What do you think, Daryl? How far out would you think that Bellatrix would go in our solar system?
Oh, orbit of Mars, maybe. Orbit of Mars, or less.
Yeah, well, you'll be amazed to find out that Bellatrix would actually, as a B2-3, Bellatrix would actually be a star that doesn't even go out to the Mercury's orbit.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. It's a funny star. And it's to give you an idea, okay, if we were to look at Bellatrix in our solar system, we'd find, okay, first of all, the mass is, Bellatrix is about 8.6 times the mass of our sun, okay? And its radius, in terms of our sun's radius, okay, is 5.75 times the radius of our sun. So 10 times the diameter, all right? So
and I assume it's a whole lot hotter star than Betelgeuse is.
Yes, it is, okay, because the surface temperature on Bellatrix is over 22,000 Kelvin. Well, in terms of Fahrenheit, what does that mean? It means 39,000 Fahrenheit, or in Celsius, it means 21,700 Celsius.
I might speculate at that and wonder if Bellatrix's Goldilocks zone is farther out than Betelgeuse's is.
That's an interesting question. And what we can do is see, in fact, if Bellatrix even has a habitable zone relative to our solar system. And it doesn't even have one. Betelgeuse did, but there's no possibility of life in a star system with a star like Bellatrix in it. And the reason for that is severalfold. Number one, these hot blue stars have copious amounts of ultraviolet radiation. So based on habitability studies and the kinds of things that are required by life, we would have to say that there would be no ability for a planet to form any kind of life anywhere in the vicinity of Bellatrix. So to go out to where the habitable zone might be, the ultraviolet radiation, in other words, where you could have liquid water on the surface.
Yes.
The ultraviolet radiation at that point would still be way off the charts. So there is no habitability. So Bellatrix doesn't have a habitable zone. There's no way. So even though that the star itself is only a few times bigger than our sun, 5.75 times the size of our sun, it's actually not a star that we could survive around in any way. So that's interesting about Bellatrix, okay? And upper right star.
I'm sorry, may I ask? Okay, well, if you narrowly define the Goldilocks zone as, the place between fire and ice, you're saying that water basically could not exist within that temperate area around Bellatrix because of the ultraviolet light?
I'm saying water could exist, but life could not because of the ultraviolet bath.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the problem. And most likely the water wouldn't last long either, because the radiation might be so intense that it could disassociate
Absolutely.
the water molecules. And what's that mean, folks? Photodissociation is where you have a molecule of H2O, so 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. And ultraviolet light hitting those the molecular bonds in that molecule of H2O, 2 hydrogen and an oxygen, can split the atoms apart. The hydrogen can go racing off into space, and the oxygen would probably combine with stuff in the ground to make an oxidized compound, hence the name oxygen. It's an oxidizer. We've talked about Mars. Mars actually has this happening there, where all of the oxygen in Mars' atmosphere ended up combining and heading down into the ground, and that's what made Mars red, is because Mars rusted. So it's kind of interesting. So Bellatrix is one of those amazing places that we could never survive anywhere near. And this is the stars of Orion now we're talking about. Okay, now another interesting place that we can go to is Rigel. Now, you've heard of Rigel. Rigel's that weird-looking character in Farscape, the TV series. Well, he's also the star in Orion's lower right quarter that is actually not just one star. Rigel's actually a triple star. Okay? It's a B9 Roman numeral 5 and a B9 Roman numeral 5. And then, of course, we have Rigel's main type as well. Now, if we want to talk about looking at what Rigel would be like in our solar system, then we can do that as well. But Rigel is a star that illuminates a nearby nebula that we talk about. And then Daryl asked for us to see it on the last SkyTour live stream, and we couldn't locate it because it was so low in surface brightness. Daryl, do you remember that nebula we were looking for?
You must be talking about the Witch Head Nebula.
I was indeed. He's absolutely right.
Yep. It's really cool looking, but it's really big, and you'd probably need a telephoto lens instead of either that or a very fast telescope to catch all of it. It looks just like the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz. Her face, her chin, her nose, her forehead, the whole thing. It looks really cool, but it's an extended object. And you can't fit it all in a telescope field of view.
Nope, you're right. You can't. You absolutely can't. And so when we look at Rigel, add to the fact now that Rigel illuminates that nebula. Now I say illuminates. We really have to be careful here, because we have what are called emission nebulae and reflection nebulae in astronomy, right? The emission nebulae are those that are giving off their own light because of ionization, exciting the hydrogen atoms to ionize, and that is dump their electrons for a period of time, and then when they recombine, as they drop back into the atom, they lose some energy, and when they lose energy, they give off light. Well, the light that they give off, that is what we're talking about here. We're talking about this red light that we see with these nebulae. That's an emission, and that's an emission nebula when we see that. Now, Rigel has a lot of ultraviolet light, but the Witch Head Nebula that Daryl's mentioning is actually dust. And the dust that's in the Witch Head Nebula is not going to ionize any. It's not going to be ionized to show a red glow. It's actually going to do like the molecules of atmosphere here in our atmosphere do. It's going to scatter the hot blue high energy light from Rigel. And that scattering process is what gives the Witch Head Nebula this characteristic blue color. All right. So
yeah,
it is
the very same thing that causes blue sky on Earth. It's called Rayleigh scattering.
That's right. It's called Rayleigh scattering, and that's the very same thing that we have here. And so it's the same reason the sunset is red. Because when the sun is setting, we're seeing it through more air, and more of that sun's light is being scattered in the blue wavelengths. And so that means that mostly red light is getting to our eyes because there's a long path of atmosphere that the sunset is going through. It's a really interesting process, and if you start to think about it, you really get excited. You want to learn more about Earth science and all kinds of things, the way the Earth works. Oh, it's just incredible. The beautiful sunset was never more scientific, you know, and yet I can just appreciate the sunset for the sunset. I don't think, oh, look at the Rayleigh scattering causing this beautiful red sunset. I don't do that. Okay.
I don't either.
Well, I just have to say, just in case, So when we look at Rigel, then, okay, it's made up of two B9 stars. That is B9 Roman numeral 5, and those stars are orbiting each other very closely, right? And they then together orbit Rigel, and Rigel is this beautiful B8 star. Okay, so it's a OB. It's a B star 8, so 0 through 9, B8. So getting on the way toward an A star. However, Rigel is luminosity class, or the letters after the B8, 1A, Roman numeral 1A. That is highly luminous supergiant. Rigel's future is to be destroyed in a massive supernova. It's going to blow itself to bits eventually. And that's what Rigel will do. Okay? Now we ask a question. Well, where will Rigel, if Rigel was in our solar system, never mind the other B9 5 stars, the two, what are called main sequence or ordinary hydrogen fusing stars, never mind those. But where would Rigel be in our solar system? How would that look? Well, I have just a thing I can tell you all about that. Because when we look at Rigel in our solar system, we can see that Rigel would take up almost all the way to the orbit of Mercury. That is a huge amount of space. Now, if Bellatrix couldn't give us a habitable zone because of UV radiation, what do you think about Rigel, Daryl?
Too hot to handle.
You got it, man. Too hot to handle. He's got it right. Okay, with a mass of 21 times our sun, all right, and a diameter in terms of suns of 78.9, so it's almost 80 suns in radius, okay? 80 sun radius, okay? I meant to say radius, not diameter earlier. It's 160 times the diameter of our sun, okay? So that makes it huge, and it has a surface temperature on the outside, even though it's almost to Mercury, of 12,130 Kelvin. Now, what's that in Fahrenheit? 12,130 is 21,300 Fahrenheit. Do you know anything that's 21,000 degrees, on this planet? No, not at all. Not even the hottest lava. That's why lava only glows red. It's only a few thousand degrees. It's never that high. We don't have blue, white, hot lava here on this planet. 11,800 Celsius, So it's a 12,000 Kelvin surface. And so when we back away, if we were to back away and look at our solar system from a distance, we'd see that there is no safe place if Rigel was in the middle of our solar system. No safe place. We'd also notice on the surface of Rigel that there are these very large objects that look like big, like the cracks in a mud flat. Okay, these are giant convection cells that are on the outside of the star, And red giants have these, and some of these hotter blue giants, when they get large and supergiant stage, they'll actually have these as well. So, on small stars like our sun, they're called granules. But on larger stars, these are like convection cells. Like when you look inside of a pot and you watch it boiling, you'll see that it breaks out into these little cells of hot areas that are rising and then falling around the edges. So that's what we see with these bigger stars like this. So it's a pretty impressive sight, although it would be a lifeless solar system. There isn't any way that life could survive here. You know, Jupiter.
All of a sudden, Orion sounds like it's not such a great place to visit. You'd want to admire it from a respectable distance, you know.
Right. And we talk about the Orion Nebula many times. You know, the Orion Nebula below the Sword of Orion. The Orion Nebula is a beautiful place, but it's also glowing. It's glowing because the stars in there have hot ultraviolet, kind of like this one. Okay, the one we're talking about, Rigel. And these stars can then ionize the hydrogen gas and cause it to glow red. Stellar nursery, yes, born there. They're born there, but guess what? What's not born there is life. You can't have life with this kind of ultraviolet radiation, as far as we know. And so it depends, because the universe has time aplenty, time on its hands. What we have to do then is just wait for the stars, those young stars, to disperse the nebula and disperse from each other. And when they do that, they will end up becoming more isolated. And if they're the right spectral type, then perhaps they can form planets just as we did. We were born in a cluster as well, and we migrated away. There was some speculation that we were born with some stars in the Big Dipper, and that we were one of that moving association of stars. And it's possible. You know, it's possible. So when we talk about habitable zones for Rigel, we don't have any. There's no habitability around a star like Rigel. And this is in keeping with our science. We noticed that until you get to about an A star, you don't have a possibility for life because this UV radiation component is so hot. You can have planets, however. You can have planets, but they're sterile as far as we can see. So it's kind of cool. Now, I don't know if we had any questions out there, Amanda. I think I saw something come through. I wasn't sure what I was looking at, though.
Yeah, we have one from Ronald, and then Bill added to it. I don't know if you want to take them separately or not.
No, go ahead. Yes, go the one that came in first.
Okay, Ronald wanted to know if we needed G-class stars to support life.
You know what? That's an excellent question, because for the longest time, I thought so. And that means when I was a kid. And because I thought, well, a star like our sun. So at the very least, yes, G stars at the very least could support life. We know that. We're here. However, we've also discovered that some A stars might have that possibility. The F stars, which come after them, could also have the possibility. G for sure, K for sure, and M, it seems like, for sure. Although M stars are amongst the most populous star in the entire universe, there's more planets around M stars than any other kind of star in the universe, because M stars are the most numerous star in the universe. They live for trillions of years, not just billions like our sun, trillions. So there's plenty of time for life to form as a star evolves out of a phase where it has a lot of ultraviolet radiation spewing out from it, because M stars are known for being what are called flare stars. Well, if a star could form like that, an M star, get through its young life and make it into, say, 20 or 30 billion years in, well, now it might be calmed down, and the planets that are there might actually be able to support life. All it might need is a little kick, jump start from a comet impact, or from several comet impacts or asteroid impacts, to bring in material from which life is made. So this is the kind of thing that we might be interested in seeing. And I'd love to know what we might find in such a case. And M stars, dangerous as they are when they're young, they do mellow out as they get older. Kind of like humans. Don't we mellow out as we get older, Daryl? Okay, he's very mellow right now.
Mute.
Yeah, so I was clicking the wrong button. I'm sorry. Well, hopefully we do. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I just, you look at things long term. Orion, it's been sitting up there in the sky going off like popcorn for millions of years. And much of it appears to be uninhabitable. But if you look at like infrared views of the Orion Nebula or other clouds in the constellation Orion, we see all sorts of stars that are being born inside those clouds that we can't see, with optical telescopes. And what kind of time frame might we be talking before, all the nebulosity in Orion blows away and what you're left with is stars that hopefully are going to drift away and possibly, become homes for life? You're talking millions of years?
Yeah, we're probably talking hundreds of millions of years. And maybe on the outside, billions of years. It just depends how they can migrate away and how soon they can migrate away. And speaking of migrating, we have to take a break right now. I can't believe it. The show's going like it's on fire here. I can't believe it. But we will be back in just a few moments after we take this break here on KGRARadio.com. This is the new and improved Sky Tour Radio on KGRA Radio DB and KGRARadio.com. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
You can tug all day long on a carpet that's been glued to the floor. Then you hurt. There are many strong glues out there. Let's see, there's liquid nails and Gorilla Glue. You ever try to remove 3M 5200? That adhesive is strong. Then there's bathroom caulk, silicone rubber, adhesive tape, super glue, flex tape, and stickers. Graffiti. Scientists have come up with glues that stay stuck and can't be removed. Until now. Until Handyman Formula by DeBond. That's right. 95% of adhesives become unstuck when you spray Handyman Formula directly on them. Just spray, wait a few minutes, and remove. It's amazing. Most adhesives become unstuck when you use Handyman Formula. Visit DeBondCorporation.com or MCMaster.com. Call 561-575-4200. This stuff really works. Handyman Formula by DeBond, a great Christmas gift.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Hello and welcome back to SkyTour Radio. I am your host, Mark D'Antonio, and I have Daryl with me with Amanda in the side rings here. We're also paying close attention to Rigel spinning on the screen for those that are in KGRA DB. And we're talking about the stars of Orion tonight and what they would mean for us if we were near them, and what's more details about them than we've ever seen before. Now we just talked about Betelgeuse, we talked about Bellatrix, we talked about Rigel. Now let's go down to another little star. It's the one that's in the lower left of Orion. It's often left out because I'm sure it feels left out. The star is called Saiph, and Saiph is not such a star that should be left out, frankly, because Saiph is actually quite massive. Saiph is a B0.5 Roman numeral 1A bright blue supergiant. This star has got it going on, I can tell you that. And whether you like it or not, we have an amazing amount of information about all the stars in Orion. Now, I do want to make a note here that we still had another question out there from listeners, and I would like to actually get to that before I launch into Saiph and what comes after, because we have the belt stars of Orion. So I think I want to give Amanda the floor and let her just take over and tell me what we got for questions.
Well, this one is actually from our wonderful producer, Bill, and I know he has sacrificed his questions in order for listeners in the past, so I definitely want to make sure we get to this one.
Okay.
It's a good question, too. It kind of went with Ronald's question, dovetailed off that. He asks, why are moons around planets also possible to sustain life in otherwise harsh environments around its inhabitable planet?
Uninhabitable planet?
Uninhabitable.
Okay, well, you know what? That's an excellent question. And Bill, New York Skywatcher, our esteemed producer, is actually got a very good philosophical question there, because
I love his questions.
Yeah, he has a good question. He's asked good questions.
Yeah.
Let's consider that when we have a big planet, say Jupiter, Jupiter has a lot of moons, all right? And Saturn has a lot of moons. Saturn now has 82 moons. It beats Jupiter. So Saturn wins the moon count game so far. Well, the moons around Jupiter, for instance, each of the moons around Jupiter has a different chemical composition. The closest moon to Jupiter is Io. Io is a sulfurous, noxious, atmosphere-free moon that has geysers of molten sulfur that shoot up in the air. There's no air. Shoot up around Io, and then form these aprons of interestingly colored material on the surface of Io. Io is not a place that we would expect life, because we think that life requires, especially if it's carbon-based like us, life will require some type of oxygen and or some type of environment at least to exist in, that would be something that would be like a chemical slurry or something. And we wouldn't see that on Io because it doesn't have an atmosphere that can support that. However, as we move out, we end up coming out to a moon called Europa. Europa around Jupiter is a really fascinating moon. It's only 1,930 miles across. Okay, it's smaller than our moon, but Europa has something interesting going for it. Because it's going around Jupiter, and because the other moons out beyond Europa are tugging on it, and Jupiter's tugging on it, Europa has maintained a warm interior, and that warm interior is a result of frictional heating from the tugging and squishing that is going on with the other moons and Jupiter tugging on it. So over the billions of years, we ended up having a location in our solar system deep below the icy crust of Europa where there's actually an ocean. And this ocean around Europa and under Europa's ice could be anywhere from 60 to 90 miles deep, deeper than any ocean at its smallest here on Earth. But because Europa's not very large, life could exist much deeper in the ocean and not be suffering crushing pressures. Why would we even look to Europa? Europa doesn't have an atmosphere. Why would we consider that Europa might have life? Well, there's indications that Europa could have a highly oxygenated water underneath that ice. Too much oxygen means that the water might be a little acidic and could be more acid-laden. However, it's possible that it's not and that there might be some life there. And this is something that I think is true of all the ice moons around the planets here. The heat of formation deep underneath the ice could at some point allow for life to exist because it won't be too cold, won't be too hot. There is a point where they'll be perfect. Now, in the case of Europa, the depth at which it has to be for life to exist could be maybe 30 miles or 20 miles. And the other thing is, could life actually, could there be life that's actually further down? And the answer is probably yes. But keep in mind that there's not going to be any sunlight down there. So you're going to say, oh, well, then, how can we have anything that, creates, photosynthetic, energy like plankton do? The answer is we wouldn't. Because in the deep oceans, we found back in the 1970s on one of the projects called FAMOUS, 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 we found that life in the deep ocean actually had another thing going for it. Life could exist for chemical and create life through chemical means, and energy through chemical means, and not through photosynthetic means. So that was something called chemosynthesis. And chemosynthesis in our deep ocean is one of the reasons that we go to Europa now and think that maybe life could exist there. Chemically dependent life as opposed to photosynthetic life. See?
As a side note, don't they now say that there is more water on Europa than there is on the surface of the Earth? All the Earth's oceans and lakes and rivers put together?
Yeah, but we don't really know. We don't really know exactly how much water there is. I suspect, though, Daryl, that we're talking about a possibility that we have maybe slush under the ice near the core, a lot of slush that gives way to a band of water, and then to more slush, and then finally ice. So there's going to be a transition zone, in other words. So I'm not sure how much of that is counted in that estimate. See what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but so now if there was a Rigel in our solar system, we would find that Europa's ice would be boiled away in short order, and thus any prospects of life would go with it, evaporate with the water that's being boiled away from Europa's surface once the water is exposed and the ice is melted. So that's something that I don't think would help us too much, Now, the rest of the stars in Orion, this one we looked at just now was Saiph, and Saiph was this B0 Roman numeral 1A, a big giant blue supergiant. And I think that this particular star is a pretty cool star, but it just doesn't hold a candle to the next candidate that we're talking about now. And I don't know if you folks know about this star. I think maybe you do. It's a star called Alnitak, and now it's in the belt of Orion. It's the leftmost star in the belt of Orion. All right. And Alnitak is a triple star, and it's made of one of the hottest stars in the entire universe, and that's an O star. It's an O9.5, and it's a 1b, a Roman numeral 1b. So it's an extremely hot star, extremely hot. And then it's also, again, being a triple star, it has 2 more components. One of those components is a B03. It has a giant as a secondary star, and then a tiny subgiant, a B14, Roman numeral 4, as its third component. You know, the components that are closest to Alnitak, there's one component right close to Alnitak, and that one is they're separated by just 2.7 arc seconds of sky. And if you know the distance to Alnitak, which is 1,260 light years, you can calculate how far those are apart in real life. And so the closest components with Alnitak, the closest components are just about 1,043 astronomical units apart from each other. So that is something really interesting, and that has to do with Alnitak's twin, the other one it has right next to it. So this is what we're talking about when we look at the Orion region. We have stars that are very, very close to each other, and you'd never know it because we've never been able to see them because they're so close to each other. You can only see them in instrumentation, and this instrumentation is something that we would actually have to look at. We'd have to actually use this instrumentation to see it, and we don't right now. We don't have access to this as ordinary folks. We don't have observatory telescopes that are of the right nature, but we could very well find a way to explore and see the nature of these stars just with a little help. And so this is one way, by visualizing it, say, in a software product. We can check it out this way. We could also see it by looking at the stars in terms of their sizes relative to our solar system. Okay, if we were to take this star Alnitak and put it in our solar system, all right, now we're talking about a star that's not really large overall, considering that it is a giant star, but Alnitak, all right, is actually a star that if we were to look at the star itself and try and get the coordinates and figure it all out, it's 33 times the mass of our sun. All right. It doesn't go out to Mercury, but it actually fills up a lot of space between where our sun would be and where Mercury is. And in terms of the sun's radius, Alnitak is 20 times our sun's radius. And this is one of the hottest, biggest stars in the universe right here. Okay. I say hottest because that's more what it is. Its surface temperature is 29,000 degrees Kelvin. And that in Fahrenheit, we're talking 51,700 incredible degrees Fahrenheit at the surface. It's one hot star, let me tell you. And that's it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Alnitak actually has much more mass than Betelgeuse does?
Yeah, it's actually 33 masses of our sun. And Betelgeuse was less, wasn't it?
Like 12, I think.
Yeah, less, I think. I mean, actually a little. I have to go back and I think 11 point. Maybe you're right. I'll go back and look. But here's another thing. Alnitak's age is only about 1.5 million years, in some estimates. So that's a pretty short-lived star. All right, it's already a giant, and it's already going to be making its way into, I should say, cosmic history, So that's going to be impressive, most impressive.
Yeah, you've got two kinds of stars way up at the top of the scale there, the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes great big red supergiants like Betelgeuse will blow up.
Yep.
And sometimes I think great big blue stars will blow up. And if I'm reading it correctly, is Alnitak going to blow up as a great big blue star? Supernova, that is.
Oh, absolutely. It's an 09.5, and then its Roman numerals, its luminosity class is 1b, Roman numeral 1b. So it's a very, very bright, very, very big star. And who knows? I mean, for all we know, with its mass, we could end up having a black hole come about as a result of Alnitak's explosion, don't you think?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of possibilities here with Alnitak, you know. And Alnitak is, again, it's a very relatively distant star at 1,260 light years away. So it's not something that I think is a problem for us. We don't have to worry about Alnitak pretty much. If something happens to Alnitak, let's enjoy the show.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how I look at it, right? We'll just enjoy the show. Now, here's something interesting about Alnitak. Alnitak is near a nebula that we call the Flame Nebula, okay? And the Flame Nebula in Orion is something that Alnitak is actually illuminating. But, interestingly enough, there's another nebula right near Alnitak, and it's called the Horsehead Nebula, primarily because it kind of looks like a horse head. And this particular nebula is a dark cloud of dust that is being illuminated by a different star, but it looks like, because it's so close to Alnitak, it looks like Alnitak is the one that's illuminating it. And it's not. It's actually a star called Sigma Orionis. And that's the star that's actually illuminating this gigantic this gigantic red nebulous region just south of the star Alnitak in Orion's belt. You can see it in some deep sky photos. You can see it on Sky Tour live stream. I've uploaded pictures of the Alnitak region with the Horsehead and the Flame Nebula, all visible. And you could see them, and you can see what's going on there, and it's really something. It's amazing how stars can illuminate nebulae and cause them to glow the way they do. It really is. And, when we look at where Alnitak is, and we look at how it lights up the Flame Nebula, we see that Alnitak is causing the ionization of the hydrogen atoms in that nebula, and these then recombine and form this beautiful flame nebula that we see in the Orion region. And so when we look, you also have to understand that this radiation can be far-reaching. Okay, so here, for instance, when we go to the Flame Nebula, or say, okay, we don't find ourselves directly near Alnitak. It doesn't have to be right on top of it. It just has to be in an area where Alnitak's ultraviolet radiation can reach, and that's what we see with the Flame Nebula. Okay, fascinating stuff, really fascinating. Now, the question is, if we were to come over to our universe here, and we look at, say, Alnitak in our solar system, as I said, it goes out to about Mercury. Its surface temperature is very hot, but its luminosity, okay, because of its radius, okay, its temperature and temperature and radius are the most important pieces of the luminosity equation. So the radius isn't gigantic, but the temperature is pretty high. And so the luminosity here is 253,000 times the luminosity of our sun. Can you say bake off? I mean, you would be baked here. And in terms of a habitable zone around Alnitak, yeah, not a chance. The ultraviolet energy coming out of Alnitak is enough to sterilize anything within a region that would actually be able to have any type of liquid water. So there is no habitable zone for a star like Alnitak. You see what I mean? So that's kind of the cool thing, and that's the leftmost star in the belt of Orion. All right, And so if we were to consider then, what would it look like? What would it look like if we went to, say, Al-Nilam, the middle star? Al-Nilam, the middle star in Orion's belt. Well, if we do that, then we would find that we are heading toward a region of space where we might find some other possibilities. But the thing is, it's the center star in Orion's belt, and it's the furthest one away from us. Al-Nilam is actually 2,000 light years away. So it looks pretty bright, doesn't it? Okay, when we look at the middle star in Orion, it's pretty darn bright. So why would it be so bright? The reason that it's so bright is because of the fact that we're looking at a star that actually has we're actually looking at a star that has a very, very luminous stellar type. This is a star that's actually a B0, but it's a Roman numeral 1A. So it's a massive star, right? And it actually has a tremendous amount of radiation that it's spewing out of it. It's just a tremendously large star. A massive supergiant star, once again. And it's hard to know what's going on. Now, many of these blue giants, they will have some kind of mass loss. That is to say, there will be mass coming off of them because the star is so massive it's throwing off a lot of material. All right, but this is Al-Nilam, the middle star, and it's the farthest, but it's bright, and it looks as bright as any of the others because it's so much bigger than the others. All right, so this
Question?
Yes, go ahead.
If Al-Nilam is approximately twice as far away as Al-Natak, but it looks the same brightness, twice as far away, it would actually be 4 times as bright as even Al-Natak is, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, so you're talking a really, really big star. Big
Yes.
and hot and bright.
Yes, again, it's a 1 alpha, compared to the 1B that is Al-Natak. Al-Nilam is the 1 alpha, so it's a massive star, and it's also much brighter. So if we were to put Al-Nilam in the middle of our solar system, all right, what would we see? Well, we would have a solar system that would have a star. We'd have almost all the way. We'd have Mercury all. Within Mercury would be there. We'd see the orbit of Mercury going around the star, but Al-Nilam would be filling the solar system up to just about a third of Mercury's diameter, in Mercury's orbit diameter, and again, no habitable zone around Al-Nilam. There's just nothing that could survive there because of that massive ultraviolet radiation, and then, what's that leave? I mean, that leaves us now, the last star in Orion that we want to visit is the star called Mintaka. You remember Mintaka? It's the rightmost star in the belt of Orion. And Mintaka is one of these stars that is actually another one of these triple stars. And Mintaka is a O 9.5. So it's an O, hot O, 9.5, kind of like Al-Natak, and it's got it's an 9.52. So it's a giant star, all right. But as a 2, all right, we call those bright giants. So it's a bright giant, all right. And Mintaka then is about 1,200 light years away. And it's probably the most interesting of the Orion main stars because along with the O9.5 Roman numeral 2 spectral type that makes up Mintaka, it also has a B1 luminosity class 5 Roman numeral 5 star and another B0 Roman numeral 4 subgiant with it. And so that's pretty interesting, Now the B15 star that's around it has got the B15 is a star just like that's making hydrogen into helium like our sun, and that star is actually 8 times the size of ours. Okay, as it is 8 times the mass, and it's 6.5 times the radius of our own. And the second, the B0 subgiant, the B04, that one is 22 times the mass of our sun and 10 times the size. Can you imagine that? So when we're looking at these stars, we're seeing such a ludicrously large objects that are just amazing. And in fact, if we got near them, we wouldn't survive for long, you know. So if we were to put, let's just say if we can do it, let's put Mintaka in our solar system. If I've got it here, it's the 09.5. Okay, you see Mintaka. If we put it in our solar system, what we're going to find out is that Mintaka is 24 times the mass of our sun, and the radius in terms of our sun is 16.5 times the radius of our sun. So again, pretty darn big. Surface temperature, though, is 29,500 Kelvin. That's, again, a very, very hot star. We're talking about 52,600 Fahrenheit. These are astronomically large numbers. So Mintaka, again, is one of these stars that is just, there's no chance at 190. Actually, it's 190,000 times the luminosity of our sun. So it makes sense that there would be no habitable zone around Mintaka, and there isn't. There's just no way that we can have a habitable zone here. So you see, Orion is beautiful. Orion is lovely. Betelgeuse is stunning. The bright blue stars, the belt is absolutely stupendous. Yet, not a one could support life as we know it. Now, admittedly, we're talking about a very small collection of stars. And next time when we get together, we'll talk about how we can, how different types of stars that we know. And if you have any you'd like to see, we can study them for you. We'll put them into a solar system for you and talk about how they would react and how we might react to having a star like that in our solar system. I hope you enjoyed this version of SkyTour Radio here on KGRARadio.com and KGRA Radio DB on YouTube. This was our first inaugural hybrid show. Let us know what you think. You can reach us at SkyTour Radio at KGRARadio.com, or you can contact KGRA directly and call in and complain at how bad we are and all those wicked things. I have faith that you wouldn't find it so bad. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I want to wish you the most happiest of New Year's. Amanda, do you have a message for everybody?
Happy New Year to everybody out there. I hope 2020 is good to you.
Awesome.
To everyone
Daryl?
in this community.
Daryl, you got a message?
Happy New Year, everybody. Drive safe.
And I'm sure our own esteemed producer, Bill, would have to say Happy New Year. Bill, can you come on, please, and just wish everybody a Happy New Year?
Happy New Year, everybody, and have a great time with your family and your friends.
Now, that's the Bill we know. All right, folks. Thank you for listening to SkyTour Radio on KGRA-DB and KGRARadio.com. We will be here again next week, and we will talk to you soon. So remember, when you're outside, keep looking up.
Except while you're driving.